Hey, my name is Mike Bruno. We're here to talk about a topic today that isn't typically associated with law enforcement. It's about unlicensed cosmetic surgery and illegal medical treatments. Honestly, this is one of the most bizarre cases that I've had the opportunity to come across in my career. When you go to a doctor's office or you visit a nurse's office or really any business professional, you expect a level of professionalism. And what we're going to talk about today is really where it fell short. Today's case never had any level of professionalism, never had the required level of state certifications or the insurance that would be required for someone performing the type of medical procedures that were going on. Earlier this month, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office received a tip from another law enforcement agency that Nelson Turin was performing procedures commonly referred to as Botox treatments. These treatments are wrinkle-deterring injections which are commonly given by a doctor or another licensed health professional. Turin was doing this without a medical license. He was doing it without appropriate insurance to protect his clients and without the appropriate state certifications, as I mentioned before. He was willing to let his clients take a risk so that he could get paid in cash. Our detectives conducted an investigation and found several online videos showing Turin injecting clients with Botox and doing other treatments. He would do lip, chin, cheek fillers, nose lifts, as well as any other Botox type of injections. As I mentioned, he had several of these videos on different social media outlets or on the internet showing the services that he provided. One advertisement that our investigators found was an all-day Botox and Bubbles event at a spa located in the 12,000 block of San Jose Boulevard. What we learned through our investigation was that the Botox was for the clients, the Bubbles, that was for the clients and the doctor, or I say doctor loosely, but that was for Turin. Turin was also consuming champagne and Four Loko, which is a malt beverage. He would do this during the patient consultations while he would sit down, have the patient on the table, and basically telling them what they would do or what he would need to do and what kind of services they would be provided. So a plan was devised by our detectives, and on Friday, March 12th, a JSO detective posing as a client entered the spa to talk about a Botox treatment. The detective was escorted to a private treatment room. There was a consultation with Turin, who explained everything, talked about the product that he would use and what he would need to do to treat our undercover detective. During the consultation with our undercover detective, Turin was seen consuming alcoholic beverages. As I mentioned before, there was champagne and Four Loko in the room that he would partake in for the Bubbles and Botox. Turin set up his injection kit, which contained the syringes, needles, and vials. It also had some illegible labels that had writing on them from foreign countries. He used a marker to identify the different areas on the detective's face that would require the treatment, and ultimately prepared to do the treatment. That's when our other detectives came in and stopped him where he was and arrested him prior to doing any of the services on our undercover officer. Upon his arrest, Turin possessed vials of Botox, lidocaine, and other treatment drugs that he is not authorized to have. These vials that were in his possession, some of them had just an unknown origin, and like I said, because of the foreign writing that's on them, they're untraceable at this point in time. Our investigation revealed that Turin's current Florida certifications are that of a phlebotomist, a medical assistant, and a full specialist. A check through the Florida Department of Health and the Department of Business and Professional Regulations for license. He's not a doctor. He's not an advanced nurse practitioner. He's not authorized to possess the Botox, the lidocaine, or any of the other drugs or treatment plans that he had. He wasn't legally able to carry any of those. He received training from an from an institute in Orlando, where he obtained his certifications in oral surgery, and phlebotomy. He used his certifications license numbers from the institute where he was trained to get the drugs that he had illegally. He would charge individuals $350 for any amount of Botox that would go into their face. From our research, typically just one area of treatment is $300. So while he's doing treatment for $350 no matter what on someone's face, that would typically be closer to $1,200 in price to an individual. So he's, like I said before, he's deeply discounting that and allowing the patients to take the risk. And once again, there's no insurance, there's no anything. So if anything goes wrong, at the end of the day, Turin has packed his bags and left town, and the patient's the one that's going to deal with whatever the fallout is. I want to be clear on this. As we went in there and started our investigation, the investigation was not focused on the spa's activities. It is a legitimate spa. Turin presented himself, and with his prior work history, presented himself to the owners of the spa as having the appropriate credentials, having the appropriate license, and being able to legally obtain all of the products that he had. It's unfortunate that the business owner was duped in this situation. But like I said, he promoted himself and presented false credentials. Our hope in sharing this story today is to make the community aware and to increase that professionalism. I talked about it before. There's a level of expectation for professional services. And sometimes we take those for granted. When we go to our doctor, we expect that to be a doctor. We expect them to have the credentials that they need. But the reality of it is that's not always the case. And far too often we learn about these things when something really bad happens, when someone gets killed. We're very fortunate in this situation to have gotten the information early enough to intervene before there was some serious mishap, or certainly some serious mishap that was made aware of us. If there's any issues out there, we certainly haven't gotten that information yet, but we're still looking at this hard. So I encourage everyone, like I said, to get to know your provider, get to know the treatment that you're looking for, and also know your patient rights and your consumer rights. The Florida Department of Health makes medical license information available to the public. We also encourage folks to head to the floridahealth.gov site to confirm whatever license and board certifications are available for that individual. The Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulations also has a myfloridalicense.com where people can search for a business or business license status and get additional information. So in this case, Turin was arrested for practicing or attempting to practice medicine without a valid medical license. He was charged with 3 counts of possession of legend drugs without prescription with intent to sell or deliver, and leading the public to believe that he was one as a licensed medical doctor. So with that, I'll take any questions.
We saw in the slideshow there appeared to be an Instagram advertisement. Do you have that handle, and is it still active?
That will be provided to
Right.
you with the rest of documentation.
And were there any reports of any botched surgeries, or did anybody come forward saying this man may have hurt me?
So that's a great question. While our detectives were in the waiting room, there was actually a client that was there to get touched up because a previous procedure didn't go like she expected. So she was there for a touch-up or for him to fix whatever the issue was. So we haven't heard of any substantial or significant adverse issues, but obviously there's issues, and these are issues that people are going to have to live with, to deal with, if he botches this up. And like I said, he's nowhere near properly trained. Yes, sir.
Do you know how many people he operated on?
We don't. As soon as we got the information, like I said, we got it from another law enforcement agency. It was early enough that we were able to jump on it and schedule our appointment and start working the investigation.
And how quickly did you get the appointment? Just right away?
Well, we tried to take advantage of the Botox and Bubbles blowout, and so we were early. like I said, our concern as we look at this is, and I go back to my earlier comment, just one of the weirdest cases. Our concern was, how is this going to impact the public? What he's really preying on the public. The price that he is placing there, for, like I said, for $350, any amount of Botox in your face, people that ordinarily would not be able to afford this, they're going to lunge at this opportunity. You know, some of them may not give it a second thought, so they're going to lunge at it. And so that was our concern: is what is he putting in their face? What is he injecting these individuals with? What are the long-term effects? So our goal was to intercede as quick as we could and to shut it down.
Have you guys did any chemical analysis on what was labeled Botox? Do we know that it was really Botox?
So we still have those, and we're going through that process to try to figure out some of these and if there's any additional charges. Some of the drugs that he was using, they were expired. And then some of them, like I said, you can't even, we got to translate that information and try to figure it out and run it through the labs. And as the prosecution moves forward in this case, some of those conversations with the state attorney's office will happen of, what exactly is in there, because does that enhance the charge, or where do we go from there? So some of it's still working.
And that person that was in the lobby with you that came in after because it didn't go right the first time, did they say anything to you after the arrest was made, just in general, on how he was as a...
Well, obviously there's it's not a dynamic entry by the officers, but it's obviously very orderly, and we're working to take control and capture any witnesses. So we don't have any of that information. I don't know if she specifically left or what, because that's the other thing is once some of this starts unfolding, some of the people also realize, it was too good to be true. And that's just a general rule as a consumer. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So. Right, and so we traditionally put the information on our PowerPoint slide. So if there's anyone that's been injured by this, or there's more information or anything like that, they can certainly call the non-emergency number of 904-630-0500 and provide us with that information, because like I said, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be additional charges or additional situations that we have to look into. So any of those things, we certainly would like to explore that if needed.
Thank you, Director.
Thank you.
Going off of yesterday, do we know when the body cam footage is going to be released from yesterday's officer-involved shooting on Youngerman Circle?
So I've had the opportunity to view that a few times, and really the pivot point there is, at what point can we release the body cam footage and it not impact the investigation that the state attorney's office is putting together, and as well as the other independent investigations. So as soon as we reach that pivot point, we will release it, and that's the goal. I know that the sheriff has talked about it to kind of, he's heard the community, and our goal is to release it as soon as possible. So I don't have a specific timeline. It's really, there's a lot of conversations occurring, and we'd like to get it out as soon as possible to kind of answer those questions. I will, to your point, there's some narratives out there in regards to our officers shooting handcuffed individuals and such. That didn't happen. It's sad that somebody would. At best, I would hope it's a misunderstanding. At worst, somebody's just creating a false narrative to beat a drum that doesn't need to be beat. But it didn't happen, and the evidence that we have shows that it didn't happen. I just don't. These types of situations, they're tough on the officer. They're tough on the suspect's family or the victim's family, because obviously in this he is a victim. But to create a false narrative, or to mislead someone's emotions and these tense times, that's just wrong. So we just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All of those pictures and documents will be put on the trending topics page. The link is in the news release that I sent out. So everything that was shown up there, and then the booking photo